So welcome everybody to this latest video on 162 Maths, and in this video we'll be continuing with the theme of preparing for the Aqa Gcse Maths of 2022 Higher Paper 3 by going through a practice paper. Now if you're wanting a copy of the questions to either have an attempt at before watching this video or while watching this video, then all you need to do is just click on the link in the description below. Now before we get started, just a quick disclaimer, the fact that if you're wanting a copy of this paper, then all you need to do is just click on the link in the description below and you'll have a copy, and either you can have a go before watching this video or while watching and pausing some of the questions for you to have an attempt at and then seeing whether we get the same answers. And now the key thing to remember is that not everything with each of the topics that's on the advanced information is on this paper. They hopefully will be, a majority of them will be included in this paper, but not all aspects. And also not everything with regards to everything you need to learn is going to be involved in these questions. So for example, there's an example of a trig question, but then there may be a different type of trig question that actually may come up on the real exam. So again, don't shoot me if any of these questions do not help when it comes to the real exam, but I'm hoping that they do. So let's get started into the first question. So let me just quickly zoom in so we got it full on the screen, and let me just move it to the side. So with question 1, so this involves sequences, and it says the first 4 terms of a linear sequence are 2, 9, 16 and 23, and what the question is asking us to find the expression for the nth term. So here, because the difference is plus 7, so we're definitely going to have a 7n in the formula. And what I need to forget from 7 to get to the first term, which is 2, I need to take away 5, so the correct answer is going to be D. Moving on to question 2, it says which of these is a geometric progression. Now remember that in a geometric progression there is a common ratio to jump from one number to the other. So you're thinking of all the numbers to get from each term need to be multiplied by the same number, in which the correct answer you should have is again D. Moving on to question 3, it says A is a common factor of 72 and 108, and it says B is a common multiple of 4 and 10. It says work out the highest possible value of A over B. So let's first of all, let's look at the highest common factor of 72 and 108. Now again, for this, one way of doing this is to convert each of the numbers into product to their prime. So if I type in, let's say 72, press equals, shift, fact, it comes up with 2 cubed times 3 squared. So 72 is 2 cubed times 3 squared. And 108, again, if I get the calculator up, is 108, press equals, shift, fact, 2 squared and 3 cubed. So 2, 2, 3, 3 and 3, and then you're circling which numbers appear on both. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3. So your highest common factor is going to be 2 times 2 times 3 times 3, which gives us an answer of 36. Now for the common multiple of 4 and 10, again I can pretty much do that one in my head. So the lowest common multiple of 4 and 10 is 20. So then the highest possible value of A is going to be 36 divided by 20, which gives us an answer of 1.8. Moving on to question 4, it says the length of a table is 130 centimeters to the nearest centimeter, complete the error interval. So here we've got 130, 1 centimeter divided by 2 is 0.5. So I'm going to add and subtract 0.5 from 130. So if I take it away, I get 129.5, and if I add it, I get 130.5. Moving on to question 5, it says solve the simultaneous equation, and again, don't worry about the final line, but here what we need to do is make the same number of x's or the same number of y's. Now as you can see, we've got the same number of y's, so let me just write down the 2 equations again. So again, this one's going to be worth less marks simply because I've got less work to do. So if I take away the 2 equations, because my y's are the same and they're both the same sign, so I take it away, end up with 6x equals 45, take away 27, which gives me an answer of 18. So x equals 3. And then to substitute it into one of the equations, so using 2x plus 3y equals 27. Well, if x equals 3 This is going to be 6 plus 3y equals 27. So 3y equals 21. So y equals 7. So my final answer is x equals 3, y equals 7. Moving on to question 6, it says two solids J and K have the same density. Get that 6 back up. And it says complete the table. Now, again, to work out density, it's mass over volume. So to work out the density, I'm going to work out this one first. So I do 63 divided by 7, which gives me 9. And the units are going to be grams per centimetre cubed. Now, it says in the question that J and K have the same density. So this is also going to be 9 grams per centimetre cubed. Then to work out this third box, all I then need to do is to work out volume, and that is going to be V equals M over D. So it's going to be 117 divided by 9, which gives me an answer of 13. And the units for that are going to be centimetre cubed. Moving on to question 7, it says Sue owes an amount of £800. Each month she pays 20% back of how much she owes. How much will she have left to pay at the end of 5 months? So this is a compound interest question. So it's going to be 800 multiplied by 100%, take away 20%, which is 80%. As a decimal is 0.8, and the time is 5. So then typing that all into my calculator, I get 262.144. And then because it's dealing with money, I need to round up to 2 decimal places. So it's 262 and 14 pence left to pay. Moving on to question 8, it says A and B are ships, P is a port, A is due south of P, angle APB is 48 degrees, AP is equal to a BP, and work out the bearing of A from B. So A from B is going to be, so what I'm wanting is this angle here. That is what I'm wanting to work out. So from this, we know that this is an isosceles triangle. So to work out these angles here, that's going to be 180 minus 48 divided by 2. And that gives me an answer of 66 degrees. So this is 66 and this is going to be 66. Now from this, what we could then work out is that this angle here, I just extend that out. Now this angle here is also going to be 66 because as you can see, those two are PA and the north line are parallel. So this is going to be 66 because it is corresponding, like an F angle. So if this is 66, this angle here is going to be 180. So the bearing is going to be 180 plus 66, which gives me an angle or bearing of 244, or 46 rather. I wrote 4 there. Quickly correct that. Like so. Moving on to question 9, it says the nth term of a sequence is 12n minus 5. Work out the numbers in the sequence such that they have 2 digits and are not prime. And it says your final answer must say not prime and list only the numbers that aren't prime. So let's have a look at the numbers. So when I've got n equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I've got 12n minus 5. And just create a bit of a table. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute those n values into each of these. Now, one thing I could do is I could use the calculator to do this for me. So again, all I need to do is use the table function. So it's table, enter the formula 12 alpha x minus 5. I'm going from numbers from 1 to 9. And going up in ones. And then these are the numbers in the fx column, that all the numbers that are in the sequence. So again, those numbers are 7, 19, 31, 43, 55, 67, 79, 91, and 103. Now looking at the criteria they've given me, it needs to be 2 digits and not prime. So that totally discounts 7 and 103. So which of these numbers aren't prime? Well, 19 is prime, 31 is prime, 43 is prime, 55 is not prime, 67 is prime, 79 is prime, and 91 is not prime. And again, if you're not sure how to find a prime number, all you need to do is just reset your calculator, enter the number you want to check. So if I type in 17, which I know is prime, press equals, press shift and fact. If it doesn't change, it means it's a prime number. So here, if I type in 91, press equals, shift fact, comes up with 7 times 13, so it means it's not prime. So here, what I've got is that it's going to be 55 and 91 are not prime. There we go. Looking at question 10, so this is looking at SOHCAHTOA trig. So all I need to do here is label the diagram. So this is theta, that's hypotenuse, and this is the adjacent. So here I'm going to be using cos theta equals the adjacent over hypotenuse. So substituting those numbers in, I get cos y equals 6 over 11. So let me correct that. So y equals the inverse cos of 6 over 11. So y equals 56.9, and that's to 1 decimal place. Moving on to question 11, it says which of the following graphs are curved. So again, no diagram, but I just need to go from what I know from my knowledge of graphs. And the correct answer we should have is B and D. For question 12, it says that pressure equals force over area. And it says a force of 64 newtons is applied to an area of 3.2 square meters. Work out the pressure and give your units of your answer. So using this formula, we've got the force, which is 64 newtons over 3.2 square meters. So then 64 divided by 3.2 gives me an answer of 20. And then the units are going to be newtons over meters squared. Now again, if you wanted to, you could give your units like so. But again, it's entirely up to you how you write your answer as long as it's correct. Moving on to question 13, it says vectors A, B, C, D are drawn on the grid. Write down B in terms of A. So B, as you can see, is 3 lots of A. So that's 1, 2, 3. And it's also going the opposite direction. So it's going to be minus 3A. For B, it says write down the column vector of C to D. Well, C is minus 1, 2. And D is 5, 0. So taking those numbers away, so I've got minus 1, 2, 5 and 0. Taking those two things away, I get an answer of minus 6 and 2. Moving on to question 14, it says complete the table for the graph of y equals 0.9 to the power of x, an exponential with the values of x being from 0 to 5. So again, if you get your calculator out, you can do this on the calculator, or you could just simply substitute the x ordinates in. So if I type in 0.9 to the power of x, press equals, my table starts at 0, it ends at 5, press equals, steps in 1, and in the fx column, I've got the numbers I need to fill in. So the numbers I should have are 1, 0.9, 0.81, 0.729, 0.6561 and 0.5904. And which of these graphs represent those values? Well, the correct answer you should have is going to be C. Moving on to question 15, it says that in a running club there are 60 females and 70 males. If a female is chosen at random, the probability that she has blue eyes is 0.41. If a male is chosen at random, the probability of blue eyes is 0.7. And it says one person is chosen at random. What is the probability that the person has blue eyes? Give your answer as a decimal correct to 2 decimal places. So first of all, let's look at the number of females with blue eyes. The number of females with blue eyes, and that's going to be 60 times the probability, which is 0.41, and that comes up to a value of 24.6. Now we know we can't get 0.6 of a female, so again let's just leave it as that as to begin with. So the next thing I then need to do is work out the same for the males, in which then it's going to be 70 times 0.7, and that does give me a whole number of 49. So from this then, the probability that they have blue eyes is going to be the total, which is 24.6 plus 49, divided by the total number of people, which is 60 plus 70. And if I type that into my calculator, I get an answer of 0.57, and that's to 2 decimal places. Moving on to question 16, it says here are 2 methods to make a 4-digit code. Codes can have repeated digits. It says method A has the description there, and B has a description there. How many more codes can be made with method B than with method A? In your working, you must show blah blah blah. So let's have a look at writing this down. So looking at method A to begin with. So this is looking at product count of in terms of options and looking at permutations. So looking at this one, the first one is how many digits, even numbers, are there between 29 and 100. So the number of even numbers between 29 and 100 is going to be 35. And the reason how I know that is because there's 70 digits between 29 and 100, and we divide that by 2 because all of them are going to be even, so that's going to be 35. And then the last 2 digits, multiples of 11, so the number of multiples of 11 is going to be 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, 89, and so that equals 9. So the total number of combinations is going to be 35 times 9, which gives me an answer of 315 combinations. Then moving on to B. So this needs to be odd, even, odd, even. So how many odd numbers are single digits? And again, we're not including 0, so that's looking at 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So that's going to be 5. How many even numbers are there? 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 4. Odd numbers again, 5. Even numbers again, 4. So again, if I multiply all of those out, I get 400 different combinations. So then the difference is going to be 400 minus 315, which gives me an answer of 85 more. Moving on to question 17. So we now look at box plots. It says here is some information about the times people took to complete a survey. Zoo draws this box plot to show the information. Which 2 parts of the box plot are drawn in the wrong places? So again, looking at this, the fastest time is 4, so that's correct. The slowest time is 22, so every little box represents half, so 2 boxes include 1, so that's 22, so that's fine. The median is 16, that is incorrect. The lower quartile is 7, and then to find the upper quartile, well, the upper quartile is the lower quartile plus the IQR, in which that therefore is wrong. So the 2 values that are wrong are going to be C and E. Moving on to question 18. Now this one I would say is probably one of the harder questions on the paper. It says Addy makes green paint by mixing blue paint and yellow paint in the ratio of blue to yellow, it's 7:3. He says he buys blue paint in 50-litre containers costing £164. He buys yellow paint in 20-litre containers costing £84.80. He wants to sell green paint in 5-litre tins, and he wants to make a 37.5% profit in each tin. How much should he sell each tin for? So not many demands from Addy there. So the first thing we can look at first is let's have a look at the blue paint. We want to see how much it costs per litre. So for blue paint, it's going to be 164 divided by 50, and that comes up to a price of £3.28. Oh, number right in there. So £3.28 per litre. Then with the yellow paint, if we do the same, we're going to work out the cost per litre. So it's going to be £84.80 divided by 20, and that comes up to a price of £4.24 per litre. Now the next thing we then want to do is we want to work out what's the price for 10 litres, because obviously we could adding the parts up, that then becomes 10 litres. So looking at this then, so 7 parts of blue plus 3 parts of yellow, and we can work out equal 10 litres. So looking at the cost then, it's going to be 7 times £3.28 plus £3 times £4.24, and that comes to a total of £35.68 per 10 litres. So therefore 5 litres, if I halve that, so 35.68 divided by 2 comes up to a price of £17.84 per 5 litres. Now he wants to make a 37.5% profit, so if I then multiply that by 1.35375, then that comes up to a total of £24.53. So that's how much he should be selling each tin for. Moving on to question 19, it says that ABC are points on a circle, DCB is a straight line, PAQ is a tangent to the circle. Tim is trying to find an angle M. This is part of his working. Angle ACB equals 57 degrees. Angles in the same segment are equal. Tim is right in saying that the angle ACB is 57, but his reason is wrong. And it says explain why his answer is wrong. So this is a wrong statement. And the reason why it's 57, this angle here is 57, is because of the alternate segment theorem. Moving on to question 20, it says the only solution of x squared plus bx plus c equals 0 is x equals 6. Work out the values of b and c. Well, if the only solution is 6, then that means that the equation must look like this. And then we just need to expand the brackets out. So that's x minus 6 equals 0. And then expanding that out, I get x squared minus 12x plus 36. So this is my value of b, which is minus 12, and this is my value of c, which is 36. Moving on to question 21, it says the histogram shows information about the speeds of cars as they pass a checkpoint. The scale on the frequency density axis is missing. It says the histogram shows information about 480 cars. How many cars does the first bar represent? Now there's several ways in which you can work this out, but the way my brain thinks is, let's have a look at what this is. So looking at the height of this first bar, we can see that the height of that is going to be roughly 4.8, but we don't know what the scale is. So that's going to be 4.8x, and then the width, which I do know, is going to be times 15. Now the width of this second bar is, well, the height of that is 6.6. So it's going to be 6.6x times the height of that, the width of that bar, which is 5. And then the height of this bar is 1. So that's going to be x times 15. So then working out all of those, I'm going to try and get a thinner pen because I think this is a bit too chunky. Let's go for this one here. So adding up the total bars, I get 4.8x times 15 plus 6.6x times 5 plus x times 15, and that's all got to add up to 480 because that's the total frequency. So if I then go on to simplify all of this, that becomes 72x, this becomes 33x, and this becomes 15x. And if I add them all up, that becomes 480. So then adding all the x's, I end up with 120x equals 480. So x equals 4. So what that's told me is that this is going up in 4s. So 12, 16, 20, 24. So then from this, I can then see what the first bar is going to be. Well, if x equals 4, all I've got to do then is 4.8 times 4 times 15. And just put a little bubble around that. And that gives me an answer of 288 as my final answer. For B, it then says cars with greater speed than 40 miles an hour are over the speed limit. Use this diagram to estimate the number of cars that are over the speed limit. Let me just get rid of the stuff that's in this box. So what I'm looking for is the area of this blue bit here. Now the height of the area of that bar is going to be, well, 4. That's the height. And the width is 10. So it's going to be 4 times 10, which is 40. Then moving on to question 22, it says g of x equals 4 minus x, and it says that then h of x is x cubed. Solve gh of x equals 31. It just says how we want our line written. So the first thing we need to do is find gh of x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute hx into g. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute this for this. So what I end up with is going to be 4 minus x cubed. Now that equals 31. So I want to solve 4 minus x cubed equals 31. So if I take the x cubed over to the other side, I end up with 4 equals 31 plus x cubed. Take this 31 over to the other side, so I end up with minus 27 equals x cubed. So x equals the cube root of minus 27, and so x equals minus 3. So moving on to question 23. So here we've got a triple bracket question that involves comparing coefficients. So here we've got to, first of all, we need to expand this left hand side. Now the two nicer brackets are these two, so I'm going to start by expanding them out first. I'm going to write x plus a, and then I've got x plus 3, x plus 4. Now expanding these two brackets out, I'm going to end up with x squared plus 7x plus 12. And I've got my x plus a. And then if I multiply the triple bracket again now, so I'm just going to multiply those three things, that becomes x cubed plus 7x squared plus 12x. And then I move on to multiplying these two, so I've got ax squared plus 7ax plus 12a. And then what I want to do is just add those terms up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write x cubed, and then I'm just going to join these as a bracket. So here I've got plus 7 minus a, so plus a x squared, plus, and then it's going to be 12 plus 7a x plus 12a. Then from this, what I then want to do is I then want to look at the original right hand side. So then if I write that underneath, I've got x cubed plus bx squared plus cx minus 60. So from this, if I look at the groups, well, taking this to start with, let me just call that hashtag 1. So looking at hashtag 1, I know that 12a equals minus 60. So a equals minus 60 over 12, which equals 5. So a equals, and it's going to be minus 5. So there is my first calculation. Then if I look at another one, so let's this time go for this. So the coefficients of basically of x squared. Then I see that, and let's call that hashtag 2. Then I see that 7 plus a equals b. Now if a equals minus 5, I've got 7 minus 5 equals b. So b equals 2. And then finally, what I've then got is looking at this. So hashtag 3. So hashtag 3. I've got 12 plus 7a equals c. Now if a equals minus 5, that's going to be 12 minus 35 equals c. So minus 23 equals c. And there is my final answer. Now you could have easily done this by inspection, but again, if you can't see it, then this is how you would answer the question algebraically. Then moving on to question 24, it says a line y equals 2x plus p and the circle x squared plus y squared equals 34 intersect at points a and b, where p is a negative integer. Show that the x ordinate of the points a and b satisfy the equation. And then here we've got the equation. So what we need to do here is we need to substitute this equation into the equation of the circle. So let's start by doing that. So with regards to a, we're going to swap, wherever we see a y, we're going to swap it with 2x plus p. So I end up with x squared plus 2x plus p squared equals 34. Now, x squared plus, then we set up our double brackets, equals 34. And then if I expand these double brackets, I end up with 4x squared. And then it's going to be plus 4px plus p squared equals 34 plus x squared. And then if I take this all over to one side, I end up with x squared plus 4x squared plus 4px plus p squared minus 34 equals 0. Now to work out b, it says the coordinates of a are 3, 5. Work out the coordinates of b. So the first thing I need to do here is I need to find the value of p. Now I'm going to do that by using the straight line. So I've got y equals 2x plus p. Now I know that the coordinate of a is 3, 5. So that means that x equals 3, y equals 5. So substituting those numbers in, I get 5 equals 6 plus p. So p equals minus 1, which is true in the fact that it says that p is a negative integer. So now that I know that p equals 1, what I want to do is sub p equals minus 1 into part A. And that will therefore give me the equation of the intersection points. So from this, I've got 5x squared. I know I've put a bracket there, so we just get that. So 5x squared plus 4 times minus 1 is minus, let me just actually show you what I'm doing. So 4x times minus 1 plus minus 1 squared minus 34 equals 0. So if I need to know all of that up, I get 5x squared minus 4x, and then that's going to give me plus 1. So it gives me minus 33 equals 0. And then from this, what I now want to do is now go on to solve this. Now you can either solve this by factorizing or by using the formula. And it's entirely up to you which one you want to do, but I'm just going to go for factorizing. So you should have 5x plus 11 and then x minus 3 equals 0. So x equals, and it's going to be minus 11 over 3 or positive 3. Now, the 3 is already been taken by a, so that's the x ord of a. So this must be the x ordinate of b. So if I then just move up over here, so here if x equals 11 minus 11 over 3, then using y equals 2x minus 1, because p, remember, is minus 1, substitute that in and I get a y value of minus 27 over 5. So then here the coordinates of b can either be written as minus 11 over 3 and minus 27 over 5, or you can write it as a decimal. And I just get my calculator and do some inverse signing of this. So I've got minus 11 over 5. I don't know why I keep writing 3. Let me just correct that. 5 and that should be a 5. The answer is still correct. Writing the right one. So 11 over 5 is minus 2.2, or minus 27 over 5, which gives me an answer of minus 5.4. So any of those two representations of the coordinates of b is going to be absolutely fine. And let me just make sure that is actually 5. Like so. So any of those two answers would be perfect. Moving on to question 25, it says that two triangles are joined together as shown. X is an acute angle. Work out the size of angle X. So the first thing we need to do is, well, I can't work it out straight away, so I need to work out what this length here is, which as X is taken, I'm going to call that Y. So the first thing I want to do is find Y first. Now to find Y, I'm going to use the cosine rule. So here this is my capital A, that's my little a, this is B, this is C. So I get y squared equals 9.4 squared plus 3.6 squared minus 2 times 9.4 times 3.6 times cos 74. And then working that all out, I get y squared equals 82.66 blah blah blah. So y equals 9.09202, and that continues. So what I can then do is write this number as 9.09202. So then taking this triangle out, I can then use the sine rule. So to work out x, it's going to be x. Oh, no, it's not. It's going to be 9.09202. And again, if you've rounded that answer up, it's not a problem. So sine x equals, and it's going to be 7 over sine 46. So sine x is going to equal 9.09202 sine 46, all divided by 7. So then if I type that into my calculator, and then x equals inverse sine of that answer or that fraction, and I get x equals 69.1 degrees, and that's to 1 decimal place. Moving on to question 26, it says prove algebraically that 4.62 recurring converts to a top heavy fraction. And it says find the fraction and write in its simplest form. If I start off by writing x equals 4.2 recurring, I then multiply that by 10, so I get 46.2 recurring. Multiply that by 100, and I get 462.2 recurring. Then using these two things, I get 100x, which is 462.2 recurring, 10x, which is 46.2 recurring. If I take away those two things, I end up with 90x equals, and then I end up with 416. So then x equals 416 over 90. And if I type that into my calculator, I get an answer of 208 over 45. Now moving on to question 27, it says here is a sketch of a quadratic curve. The turning point is 5 minus 3. Which of these statements is correct about the gradient of the curve when x is greater than 5? Well, where x is greater than 5 is here, that part there. And at that point there, you can see that the gradient's always positive. So the correct answer should highlight is going to be C. Then question 28 is prove algebraically that the straight line with the equation of x equals 2y plus 5 is a tangent to the circle with equation x squared plus y squared equals 5. So if it's a tangent, then there should only be one solution. So let's just go about doing that. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to swap x with 2y plus 5 in the equation of the circle. So what I've got is I've got 2y plus 5 squared plus y squared equals 5. So then recognizing that that's a double bracket, and then expanding all of this is going to give me 4y squared, and then that is going to give me 20y plus 25 plus y squared equals 5. Now it's slowly starting to look like a quadratic equation. So I've got 5y squared plus 20y plus 20 equals 0. Then from this, as you can see, I've got a multiple of 5 throughout, so I can just divide by 5. So I'm going to end up with y squared plus 4y plus 4 equals 0. So y plus 2, y plus 2 equals 0. And from this, I've got y plus 2 squared equals 0. So y equals minus 2 only. So when y equals minus 2, x is going to equal minus 10 plus 5 is minus 5. So the coordinate is minus 5, minus 2. So here, as we have only one point of intersection, this means the line is a tangent. And it's really important that you do state that line there, because that gives proof as to why we have got this. Again, you didn't need to work out x. You could just said that as we've only got one y ordinate of interception, then we're only going to have one coordinate, which therefore means the line is going to be a tangent, and that would be sufficient. But if you've got time, then you can write down the coordinate. It just looks a bit more mathematical. And there we go.